Well, it's July 5th, 2019. Registration for PBP has closed. Ride is starting to get close. And it's time to start thinking about all those last-minute preparation things that you need to do to get ready to be in France and do the ride. So let's talk about those in episode 32 of PBP Tips. So with ride day approaching, one of your primary concerns is going to be just to keep yourself healthy. Healthy and not crashed. In other words, ready to ride. Pay attention when you're out riding. Ride carefully. Be very aware in pace lines, because that's where, in my experience, most of your accidents are going to happen. I mean, obviously, if you're riding around town, keep an extra eye out for cars. But if you're riding with a group, make sure it's people that you know. If you don't know them, just be very cautious about riding with them, especially in a pace line. If you watch my channel, you know that a few weeks ago, I got taken down in a pace line and had to crash out of a 600k brevet. On the 600k that I did about a week ago, another rider got taken out in a pace line. He did not finish that ride. So just take care of yourselves. Be healthy. Keep eating and doing whatever it is that you're doing to maintain your fitness. Now, as far as fitness goes, when I started this series, I said I wasn't going to make recommendations on how to train. And I haven't done that, but I'm going to just say one thing. And that is that, in my opinion, now, 6 weeks or so out from PBP is not the time to build fitness. If you finished your qualifying series, you're probably adequately fit for the ride. So I would not worry about going out and starting to attack the mountains or do a whole bunch of climbing. Just keep riding. Don't overextend yourself, which is really part of just staying healthy. Just ride comfortably. Maintain a reasonable training schedule, but don't knock yourself out. If you don't feel like you're strong enough now to do the ride, flogging yourself for the next month is not going to help, in my opinion. In addition to keeping yourself healthy, you want to keep your bike healthy. So now is about the time to think about doing new tires. Definitely, if you're going to put a new chain on, do it now and go ride it for a little. Make sure you're riding it in the same gear that you usually ride in, because those are the cogs that usually get worn out. Put some strain on it. Make sure it's not going to jump and skip on potentially worn cogs. So get all that stuff done. If you want to change cables, handlebar tape, anything like that, now's really the time to do it. I'm planning to do that stuff this weekend to my PBP bike. Probably just new tires, maybe a chain, and then ride it once or twice and then put it away. If you have another bike to ride like I do, go ahead and do that, and just avoid having any kind of mishaps happen to the bike that you're going to take over there, because you don't want to have to be fixing anything at the last minute, like a bent wheel or something like that. Along with maintenance issues like that, this is now the time also to make your final gear selections, and not so much gears in the drivetrain as much as what kind of bags you're going to have on the bike, anything else that you're going to put on it, like lights or whatever. Get all the stuff on now, and then settle on it. Go ride with it if you haven't done that already. Put a bag on, put whatever you're going to put on the bike, and go ride it. Make sure that everything works, that it doesn't rattle, it's not going to come off unexpectedly. You want to have everything nailed down well in advance of the ride, so you can just not think about it, and then when the time comes, just pack your bike up carefully and take it over to France. So I've already done a PBP tips episode on drop bags. now's the time to start thinking about what you're going to put in that drop bag. I would recommend, if you can, start putting it together now. I'm going to have a box put together and just label it, stuff for PBP, and start throwing in it, little things that I want to bring that I want to make sure I don't forget. There's all kinds of little odds and ends that'll come to, that I'm sure are going to come to mind that I want to bring. And if I'm not going to need them between now and PBP, I'm just going to put them in the box so I don't forget them. So think about what's going to go in your drop bag. Think about what's going to go in your handlebar bag if you have one. One of my resolutions for this PBP is to carry as little as I can. So for me, that's going to be one camera for taking film pictures, the camera that I'm holding right now, another camera that's going to mount on the bike to take video, and then just a few things in the handlebar bag. One piece of advice, at least based on my experience, is when I get over there, I'm not going to carry a whole bunch of food. I tend to be a food hoarder, so I'll start off with some bars or whatever in my bag. I'll get to a control and they'll have some baguettes or something, and I'll get one of those and I'll throw it in the bag. And I've literally carried food for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers that I've never eaten, and I'll usually finish PBP with a handlebar bag full of food. So I'm really going to try not to carry as much food this time. Just what I need, enough to get me between controls, because there is food out on the course. There are controls, there are people offering things by the side of the road, there are stores. You don't need to carry a whole bunch of stuff. This is also a good time to start thinking in more detail about logistics of getting yourself and your bike to the start. As I pointed out in prior episodes, the start is in Rambouillet, which is farther from Paris than the start has been in years past. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get there, particularly for the 5 o'clock or 5 a.m. 84-hour start. So now's the time to start thinking in more detail about your baggage, where you're going to store it, where you're going to put your bike together, how you're going to get that bike and yourself and whatever drop bag, etc. you're going to need to have in Rambouillet at the start. Think about how that's all going to happen. Start looking at train schedules. Look and see if you're planning to take your bike, for instance, on a train at a time of day when they don't allow bicycles. A lot of those details to think about. Now's the time to start nailing all that down. I like to have all that mostly thought out before I get there. Just one less thing to complicate matters once you arrive in France. And finally, at least for this episode, now would be a good time to go online and start reading a little bit about the region of France, or the regions that we're going to be going through. There's some very interesting history out there. Read about Fougères and the castle there, why it's there, what the 4 towers on the castle are. Read about Brittany, read about Normandy. Learn a little bit about the culture, because you're going to be steeped in it as you're out there riding. It's very different from Paris. It's a different part of France. Very fascinating area, a lot of history, and a very independent area. So take a few minutes, look up some websites. There's all kinds of stuff on YouTube about Brittany and Fougères and Brest and so on. Spend some time looking it up. It'll help to give you a better understanding of the countryside you're riding through and the people that you'll be meeting out there on the course. Alright, so that's it for this 32nd edition of PBP Tips. I'll see you on the next one. And now that I'm qualified, I will see you at the starting line. 84-hour start, 5:15 a.m. on Monday. of PBP week. See you later.